Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope well. I'm moving slow this morning after last night's conversation with Maxwell Alexander Drake. That was a fantastic discussion. If you didn't see it, we'll talk more about that in a moment. So that was very well. Then I spoke with him afterwards, and then he inspired me to get work done. So I went to sleep, but then I woke up early. All of a sudden, oh my God, I got to go write. He has that effect on people. So I woke up this morning and I went back to a story, which was supposed to be the story that I was doing right after Goodnight Sword. But the way its incarnation was not, its current incarnation, or its incarnation at that time was no good. So I sat down, I completely reread the entire thing, and then took a whole bunch of notes based on everything we've learned about storytelling since basically I started writing that. And that was something that I wrote probably before Brianna and I had even started our weekly discussion on story, which was long before Table Talk. So I was like, oh, okay. Making all these notes about what to fix and about why it wasn't working, and then had to crash again and go back to bed. And so here I am now, and I got coffee. So thank you for joining me this morning. A few minutes late. Our main topic for today is one that I had sitting over there on the shelf for a little while. I just haven't felt like it was the right time to look at it. But it is Star Trek Adventures. This is a solo RPG. I don't know anything about it. It's by Modifius. I don't know anything about it, but I've been wanting to check it out. I bought it when I was kind of interested in the solo RPG kind of genre because I might want to do one. On the list. I don't know when, but that's kind of on the list. So I wanted to evaluate. And I was like, oh, Star Trek solo RPG? Interesting. So I got it. That's going to be our main topic for this morning. Good morning, Tomocrat. Good morning. Good morning, BGD and James and Tommycrat. We got a crew here. People are coming in. Here we go. Got the coffee. Oh, super chats are working now? I remember you saying there was a problem. I'm glad. Good morning, Robert. Good morning. Oh, and I got Tomocrat sent in a super chat. Thank you very much for $1.99. Tomocrat says, breathe and sip all. Yes, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's go right over to that. Tomocrat's calling for that. Let's go ahead and go over to that. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and bring this up so I don't forget. So last night, Maxwell Alexander Drake, if you didn't see this yet, and you're interested in storytelling, but he told stories about working for Sony's EverQuest Next. So he's was a great guest, not only for story writing and story structure perspectives, but he worked for Sony on EverQuest Next. So I asked him about EverQuest, and he had stories about that. He talked about working for Shadowrun as well, and he's also talked about, actually broke an exclusive last night that Drake is writing for Columbia Games and in the Harn World genre. So he's going to be doing some stuff for Harn World. And so that's fantastic. And then we started talking about stories and writing after that. So he is really neat. He's really neat. I thought it was a great somebody. I think it was Sable said in the chat, this is like talking to Adrian 2.0. I figured that Adrian and Drake would get along pretty well because, yes, they've got the same kind of style for love of stories and then the style of just attack and be brutally honest. So this was fantastic. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. 940 subscribers over on the Table Talk channel now. So I'll put this link over here. And he gave us some free stuff, or not free stuff. He gave us a 50% off discount on some stuff some of us might want to take advantage of. Drake's interview. Because he's been putting together this writer's room right here. If you're looking to master your craft, and I know a lot of us are obviously writers here. If you're looking to master your craft and make a living as a writer, there's only one thing you need to know, and you won't find it in another course, workshop, masterclass, or convention. This is things going on every day for writers, including a weekly meetup. Drake's Writers Studio. This is called Writer's Room. Drake's Writer's Room. We talked about that as well, the kind of the thing that he's building here to help writers every day and be accountable every week. And hey, we like accountability around here. And so that if you use that link right there and you want to be a part of it, that gets you 50% off. 50% off right there. And then also Drake U is where you can check out the dynamic story creation and Drake's brutal writing advice, the whole series. Dynamic story creation, which I love. I don't have the ultimate guide to show, don't tell yet, or building better writing through stronger narratives. But you can get that over on Drake U. So he like me has a lot of stuff going on. So I also appreciated that about him. There's a lot of things going on with Drake. There's a lot of things going on over here as well. So the Trial of St. Gabriel, we got 4 more days on the Trial of St. Gabriel. Once the Trial of St. Gabriel concludes, we're going to start talking about doing several games here after the Trial of St. Gabriel and focusing on the cultists. So that's what's going on. But the Trial of St. Gabriel has 4 more days to go. this Kickstarter for a short story about the dark story of the Christmas Massacre. I liked what Drake was saying. Stories make you deal with themes and approach things in ways that you otherwise might not. And that's exactly what I was actually trying to do with the Trial of St. Gabriel, because things like Herod's Massacre of the Innocents are not things that are often, very, very rarely addressed, in my experience, when you're talking about Christmas. And I wanted to do that. And so I did. And I'm very proud of this story. And I'm very proud to be getting it out. I did order a physical second proof. So we'll see if we get the coloring on the cover better this time. So that's incoming. So new proof incoming. All right. What else is going on here? Oh, so Doug and I are going to be live on Sunday. So because we had this discussion on the Christmas story, and Doug couldn't be there on Tuesday, kind of at the last minute because his wife was sick, I'm changing up what's going to happen on Sunday. So I've got Sunday 1:00 Central. Sunday 1:00 Central. Doug is going to be live on the Table Talk channel, and we're going to be talking about the Christmas story again. I've got some more things I want to say after having listened to the entire thing again and edited it yesterday for clips. The discussion with Cameron and Brianna. And after I was doing that, I was like, well, there's a lot of things that I would like to say and that I don't think I made clear. And Doug has a lot to say about the relationship with early Christianity, which he's researched a lot for stories on Byzantium. So we get another free table talk, table talk this week, bonus table talk on Sunday at 1:00 p.m. And then we will be talking about Fight Club, which is what we're not supposed to do on Tuesdays. Let's see. All right, let's get rid of this and take Tomocrat's advice and do breathe and sip. All right, I got Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield up. I got my coffee this morning. Let's take 2 deep breaths, complete exhales, and then take a sip of our favorite beverage here. Here we go. And sip. There we go. Oh, you've been working with Grok? After some experimentation, happy to report the interactive fiction game works in Grok, albeit a more primitive functioning. Oh, that's cool. Indicates the prompt I came up with work across multiple platforms. I have not been on Grok at all yet. I'm not on X Premium. Good morning, Lynn. And Jason, good morning. Sable says, Maxwell Alexander Drake was great. Would love to see him come back. I want to have him back. He said he would definitely come back. And we didn't get to talk about several different things that we want to. There was more to talk about. We didn't even get started with talking about the stronger narrative, what's the point of view. We didn't get to talk about that. There are other things we talk about, and we haven't just even, we could even tackle individual stories. So he said he would return. He said he would be willing to return. Hey, Stray, good morning. Good morning. And Brent, yes, good morning. Good morning. We are getting close to 1,000 over there. Okay, so resistance and addiction. The pre-addictive individual, i.e. you and I, when we were young, experiences a calling to art, to service, to honorable sacrifice. In other words, we experience positive aspiration, a vision of the higher realized self we might become. The imitation of this calling is followed immediately by the operation of resistance, fear, self-doubt, self-sabotage. What makes this moment so soulless is that most of us are unconscious. In the event of both of our aspirations and our resistance, we're asleep. We know only that something is wrong, and we don't know how to fix it. We're restless. We're bored. We're angry. We burn to accomplish something great, but we don't know where to begin. And even if we did, would be so terrified that we still couldn't take a step. Enter a drink, a lover, a habit. Addiction replaces aspiration. The quick fix wins over the long, slow haul. We'll save those for tomorrow. All right. So we'll start there. Well, let's make sure. Addiction and resistance we just did. All right. So, all right, let's take a look at this. Let me get the auxiliary camera going here. I'm curious. It's a nice, solid little book. I mean, there's a lot of material in here. And I think I was seeing discussed in the Discord server. Yeah, I've never done any kind of role playing in Star Trek, in the Star Trek universe. All of my role playing has been fantasy. Turn on this light over here. And I know there are Star Trek. I mean, obviously there are Star Trek role playing games, even besides this one. All right. So let's take a look at what. Let's take a look at what this is. So I know BGD said that he's got this one on the shelf. Has anybody else got this one? All right, so it says, so I think there were several versions of this for different eras of Star Trek. Yeah, that's probably better. For different eras of Star Trek. And so I just bought the original series. We got a matte color cover here, which I really like. Captain's Log standard solo role-playing game. But yeah, I think there were at least 3 of these. So this is for the NCC 1701. Boldly go where no one has gone before. There's no such thing as the unknown, only things temporarily hidden, temporarily not understood. Captain James T. Kirk. As Captain's Log solo role-playing game presents a complete standalone rule system adapted from the award-winning Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. You can use to create Star Trek stories with dynamic characters formed from your own imagination. Whether you are venturing into the cosmos alone, conducting galaxy-spanning missions cooperatively with friends, or exploring the unknown with a game master facilitating your adventures, use the contents of this book to generate countless hours of memorable adventures. Create an original character and then use the tools of this book, combined with your fertile imagination, to fashion your own fascinating Star Trek-style stories. Play in the era of Star Trek from the 21st century to the 32nd century and everything in between. Explore strange new worlds, new civilizations, and all the wonders of the universe. What will you discover while exploring the final frontier? And this is a standalone book. Good morning, Inner Light. Lynn says, I played FAFSA's original Star Trek role-playing game. It's long out of print. The Enterprise and the D7 deck plans that came with the game are fantastic. The mechanics were okay, a D100 per system. I know that game, but I've never played it. Yeah, we looked at the 2D20 Conan here on the show a while back ago. Sable says, if that's the TOS era, yes, it should be boldly go where no man has gone before. I know it's not politically correct today, but the tagline, that's the tagline they spoke every episode. Stay to it. Yeah. Actually, it makes me wonder if this is the text that's on the back of all of them. I don't know. Well, this one does specifically talk about Captain James T. Kirk here. But see, this says play in any era of Star Trek from the 21st to the 32nd. And so that makes me wonder if this is the general text that was on all of them. Because nothing here specifically says that it is, hey, play in the era of the original series or anything like that. So that may be why. BGD says all four versions of Captain's Log. Oh, ha! So that's exactly it. All 4 versions of the Captain's Log, TS, TNG, DS9, and Discovery are exactly the same except for the cover. Oh, they are? Oh, so I guess that's it. So it's other than the cover. Oh, so this is. I thought. Well, I didn't know what this was exactly. So this is just the Captain's Log solo role-playing game. Okay, so they've got different covers for different eras. I thought this was going to be like a solo adventure in the original series era. Do they have an Enterprise edition, the Archer one? So I guess not. Hey, good morning, Wild Barley. Wild Barley says, good morning. I played Star Trek Adventures once before. I like its scene-focused mechanics. So BGD says, this is, again, this product, Star Trek's Adventures Captain's Log, is a streamlined solo version of Modiphius's Star Trek Adventures, which is based on their own 2D20 house engine for mechanical resolution. Okay, well, let's see what, let's see then. So that's different from what I thought it was. I thought I was going to sit down here and be able to, like, actually go through something. I thought it was going to be like an adventure, that it was like going to guide me through a solo adventure in Captain Kirk's original Enterprise. So this says introduction. Our table of contents is introduction. Star Trek defined, the Star Trek universe, reporting for duty, your home among the stars, rules of play, and then playing Captain's Log. Space, the final frontier. A universe of possibilities. For more than 55 years and across 11 television series, 13 feature films, and countless other forms of narrative, from novels to comic books to games of all types, Star Trek has delighted audiences worldwide with its science fiction storytelling in a future laced with hope, adventure, drama, and wonder. From its conception by creator Gene Roddenberry as A Wagon Train to the Stars, a Western series that focused on recurring casts exploring together, and its current life in no fewer than 5 series in active production, Star Trek stands among science fiction media properties. There are 5 Star Trek series in actual production right now. Star Trek stands unique among science fiction media properties, presenting a comprehensive and consistent setting in which virtually all fiction genres and types of characters can find a home. Any type of story you can imagine can fit somewhere within the expansive Star Trek universe. Welcome to Captain's Log, where you learn about the franchise, the setting, the eras, and styles of play available to you, and use the tools in this book to create a unique character and tell amazing Star Trek-style stories, either by yourself or with a group of friends. So what is this? This says this provides all the information you need to understand the essentials of the Star Trek setting, the tools you'll need to create a character, and guidance on how to develop satisfying stories with that character, whether playing by yourself or with a group of friends. So this says, this says this game can be used to tell stories from any era, any Star Trek era, from the earliest days of the Federation in the 2100s to the 32nd century and beyond. You may choose to set your game at the dawn of Earth's tentative steps for exploring space in the 20th and 21st centuries, using the 5-year mission period of the 2200s, when illustrious captains such as Georgiou, Pike, Kirk, and Kang commanded starships and pushed the boundaries of known space. During the 23rd century, or 2300s rather, where the Klingon Empire and the Federation forged peace and navigated the challenge of their new alliance, while facing a variety of threats, or even in the centuries following the events of Star Trek Picard, and into the far future depicted in the recent settings of Discovery. As Spock once said, there are always possibilities. What will your imagination take you? Discovery, Lower Decks, and Picard. BGD says this book is absolutely chock full of reference information and generator tables that provide a wealth of information for GMs looking to homebrew adventures in the Star Trek universe. Using this guide. All right, let's see what it says about using this guide. This book provides you with a wealth of... I really do like this book. What is our size here? Oh, nice. So it is 6 by 9. It's just larger because it's a hard copy book. So this is I see. That's why I like that size. So it's a 6 by 9 page size, slightly larger because of hardback. When this was written, Discovery. So Wild Barley has the answer. When this was written, Star Trek Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and Prodigy were in active production. That's a lot of Star Trek. please do hit the like button and help push this out to other people who might be out there just sitting over there in the nether regions of YouTube who would like to be here but don't even know this is going on. Thank you for the reminder, BGD. So this book provides you with a wealth of information about Star Trek's eras, styles of play, and character options, all designed to help you develop and play a character that fits into the Star Trek universe. This book also provides a complete rules system for telling your own unique Star Trek stories with your character. Whether you're playing a human, Klingon, Bajoran, Vulcan, sentient android, self-aware hologram, liberated Borg, or something else, this guide can help you build a unique character and then tell amazing Star Trek-style stories with that character. This book and a couple of 20-sided dice, you can bring unique Star Trek characters to life and tell dramatic and engaging stories in your own Star Trek episode or ongoing series. You may choose the book as a facilitator or telling stories collaboratively with friends who use your own unique Star Trek characters. You may even choose to play Captain's Log like a traditional role-playing game, with a game master narrating the action for a group of players, using this book as a guide for reference. The choice is yours. Now gather your writing material, some 20-sided dice, and your favorite snacks. It's time to explore the final frontier, Star Trek style. Engage. Where to start? Oh, this actually recommends things to watch on this page. So, yeah, everybody's talking about, Modiphius producing great books. It's a nice, high-quality book. Modiphius always produces high-quality stuff. Them and Free League. I'm kind of feeling that, too. Of course, we love Free League around here. We've talked about Free League quite a bit. Them and Free League, you can always count on to give you great bang for your buck. Oh, so for the MSRP, Modiphius actually puts together some nice-looking, well-made books. Index Card RPG Master Edition hardbacks are also published by Modiphius, and both editions are quite nice. Yeah, how about that? So that's what I got right here. This version right here. So yes, this one is also a Modiphius book. Same size. Very nice. Anyway, so this has recommended episodes. There we go. What is Star Trek and what is Captain's Log? I bet we kind of know what Star Trek is around here. But it says Star Trek has a science fiction setting. Star Trek presents a positive, hopeful, and vibrant forecast. In Star Trek, diversity, equity, and inclusion are paramount. The characters build and nurture relationships. The franchise focuses on characters over plot. Most characters live in the United Federation of Planets. Starfleet characters blaze the trail. Star Trek examines the human condition. Star Trek explores the worlds of wonder of the universe. Explores the wonders of the universe. It does have a note up here on non-Federation characters and campaigns. Characters have some fun along the way. So that's what Star Trek is. What is Captain's Log? Yes. Now, where are the games? 10 aspects of Captain's Log. Your ship, your crew, your adventures. This is number 1 right here. So, the line producer for Star Trek Adventures says their aim with Captain's Log was to provide a complete resource for Trek role-playing, even for readers of little to no knowledge of the Star Trek universe. James says, speaking of Free League, I think Candace got me some Johan Egerkron's art prints from the Dragonbane book. Don't tell her I found out, though. Oh, well, I hope she's not watching. Zero the Blade says, good morning. Good morning, Zero the Blade. Tomocrat says, don't use any episodes in TNG Season 6+. Yeah, well, they do have Cthulhu Roman stuff, right? So, okay, so your ship, so this is 10 aspects of Captain's Log. Your ship, your crew, your adventures. The Star Trek universe is really, really big. It spans more than 1,000 years of in-setting content and touches on 4 quadrants of our galaxy, and sometimes beyond. While the many characters you've come to know and love over the past 55 years have told amazing stories, let me turn off this heater. There's much more to discover. You are a unique individual, as is everyone who has ever played the game, written a Star Trek story, or played some role in the design, development, or production of any episode, movie, or printed story. Your character will likewise be unique, and the stories you tell will be unique as well. You'll be developing your own series set on your ship or station in your corner of the Star Trek setting. Starfleet always has need of new officers and new starships. Create yours and add the stories to the never-expanding Star Trek universe. Rules that support every era. While many Star Trek adventure products are designed to fit into specific eras' visual aesthetics, the rules for those particular eras, Captain's Log was designed to be era-agnostic, both visually and rules-wise. This means you can create stories in any era of Star Trek with this rule set. You can play games in the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, or 32nd centuries, or anywhere in between. Okay. Or alternate or parallel universes. A streamlined rule set that focuses on narrative. The game system presented in Captain's Log is a streamlined version of the 2D20 system used in Star Trek Adventures. It features a straightforward task resolution system. When you are presented with a task to attempt, calculate your target number by adding your character's attributes and disciplines together, then roll 2d20 and attempt to beat the target number with one or both dice. If you learn only that core concept and can execute it consistently when attempting tasks in conflict, you'll be armed with the single most essential tool that you can use to build many sessions of gameplay. From there, you can gradually add in those rules for managing momentum and threat, using values and focuses, making use of your starship, and engaging in social conflict, personal combat, and starship conflict. Add additional mechanics as desired, adjusting the game system to the needs of your ongoing campaign and your comfort level with the mechanics. There are many ways to play Captain's Log, as there are gamers trying out the game. Character creation versus via a life path. Prime Directive. Yes, that's what I remember that. A primary way to create a character for Captain's Log is to work through a life path step by step, gradually building the character from childhood into their career as a Starfleet officer, or civilian, Klingon warrior, or officer of another polity. At each step of the life path, your character gains specific benefits, and you are encouraged to begin building the story of that particular character. As you progress through the life path, you add more story elements to your character, along with additional mechanical benefits. Once you complete the life path, you will have a fully realized character ready to take on the place among heroes of the franchise. Unlike many of other role-playing games, where characters start out with modest abilities and stand ready, a real chance of dying early and often, characters in this game begin as highly competent and capable beings, ready to take on whatever path of challenges the universe throws at them. What path will your character traverse on their life path? Let's see. A role for everyone. 6, a concern for the greater good. 7, limitless potential. 8, opportunity for dramatic events. 9 is story-driven gameplay. 10 is a safe space in which to explore. Okay, so Chapter 2, the Star Trek universe. So this is an overview of Star Trek. A future of hope, culture, religion and spirituality, Federation, citizens, and money. Oh, what does it say about money? Because this has been money and economy. This is controversial, right? We talked about that when we were doing the analysis of Star Trek with the movies. The United Federation of Planets is broadly a collection of post-scarcity societies where financial success and the accrual of wealth are archaic concepts consigned to history. but the exchange of resources is still managed and accounted for. Federation citizens receive a share of the economic product of their world, which is more than sufficient to provide for their regular needs: food, housing, clothing, education, use of public facilities, and so forth. On a day-to-day basis, no citizen of the Federation needs to worry about lacking the means to survive. A portion of this share is set aside as credit to be traded on a discretionary basis for luxury extras: a visit to a restaurant, a bottle of real wine, other items made the old-fashioned way rather than replicated, as well as a wide variety of trade practiced by skilled professionals. Starfleet personnel and citizens who travel extensively, or who come into contact with those outside the Federation, often exchange a portion of this discretionary fund for an equivalent value of latinum or other valuable commodity, allowing them to purchase goods and services from those who are not part of the Federation. For example, it's not uncommon for Starfleet personnel stationed in a Federation station or outpost to keep a stash of Klingon Darsics or a few strips of latinum on hand for trading purposes. Let's see. Star dates. Now let's see how to read star dates right here. Let's see what it says about that. Wild Barley says they're totally red shirts. If your character can't be present for a scene, you sub in as a red shirt. We'll see any appropriate stand and background extras for the scene. Good morning, PH. Good morning. So, star dates. Keeping time in the Star Trek universe can be tricky when dealing with multiple different worlds that each have their own native calendar and time systems, combined with issues that arise from relativistic effects. After the formation of the Federation, a standardized system was implemented called star dates. All you need to remember is the star date gives an internal reference to the chronological occurrences in your game. A story that occurs after another should use a higher star date than the first. It's up to you to figure out how you want to keep track of time. While not always the case, there's a rough equivalent in star dates to the calendars of Earth after the 23rd century. A star date of 44000.1 is roughly equivalent to January 1, 2367, with 1 year comprising 1,000 star date units. Alternate versions of star dates are sometimes used, including using the calendar year as the whole number and the fraction of the year already passed as the decimal, i.e. 2285.2739 is 10 April 2285. You may also choose to use traditional forms of dating missions and sessions, for example, having one episode set on May 22nd, 2155, and the next episode set a couple of weeks later on June 14th. So behind the scenes on star dates. If you want to use star dates for your adventures to feel more authentic to the source material, consider the following guidance. Star Trek Enterprise uses traditional Gregorian calendar dating practices. The first episode, Broken Bow, starts on April 16th, 2151, while the second 4 episodes, Terra Prime, take place on January 22nd, 2155. If you're playing in this era, feel free to use Gregorian dating practices and simply sidestep the whole star date issue. Episodes in the original series, the animated series, the 6 original series era feature films, Strange New Worlds, and the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery use star dates from the 1000 to 99 or 9900 range. That they're sporadic and rarely sequential from episode to episode. For example, the original series episode The Man Trap carries a star date of 1513.1 and is set in the year 2266, while Star Trek The Undiscovered Country starts with a star date of 9521.6 and is set in the year 2296. If you're playing in this era, you can safely use a star date in the range of 1000.x to 9999.x range for the years 2254 to 2323 or thereabouts. And I remember, yeah, that's inconsistent. I remember them talking about that specifically on The Undiscovered Country at some point. It was like, well, what do we do with a star date? And I think someplace I was reading that it should actually probably be a 5 whole number star date, but it's just 4 here. And the reason they did that was because all of the rest of the original series had 4 numbers for their star date. It wasn't that until a 5th one, whole number. It wasn't until the Next Generation that a 5th one was added. And they wanted to keep The Undiscovered Country with the idea of 4 star dates, or 4 numbers for consistency. I read that someplace. Somebody else can probably back me up on that. So if you're looking for great thought behind the star dates, they weren't there. Weren't the star dates originally the order of the session? I think I may have remembered that too. That there was something about the ordering of the episodes or something when they were writing it. That might be why some of them seem out of order. Inner Light says, that's one thing that's always irked me about Star Trek. Stardate is a physical location, not a temporal nexus. A stardate would be like 1,000 years or 10,000 years at 43 degrees, 16 minutes. You're talking about at the location of Earth? Yeah. The season numbering the order of the seasons. I think I remember something about that. Maybe that was in. I forget where I read that. There was a book, The Chronology of the Future. It might have come from that. Starting with the Next Generation, the producer started to use 5-digit star dates. Okay, what I was just saying, suggesting a progression from the original series, and use a range of 41000 to 41999 for the first season, set in 2364. This practice is continued sequentially through Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and the 4 Next Generation feature films. For example, the pilot episode Encounter at Farpoint starts at stardate 41153.7 and is set in the year 2364. Voyager's final episode, Endgame, includes stardate 54973.4 and is largely set in the year 2378. If you are playing in this era, you may wish to review various episodes or consult Star Trek timeline resources, print or online, to determine where in the canonical timeline you wish to place your adventures. Of course, you are free to ignore established canon and pick whatever dates you wish. Star Trek Picard is set in the year 2399, though it does not make use of star dates in the first season of episodes. Theoretically, the star dates would be in the 7500.x to 75999.x range. If you're playing in a game set in this time period, you could choose to use the star date following the Next Generation era pattern, or simply make use of the Gregorian dating systems. Primers on technology, cloaking devices, communications, subspace. We talked about that. By the 24th century, most communications occur via subspace, a layer of reality that exists alongside normal space-time. Within subspace, there is a spectrum, just like in the electromagnetic spectrum or the normal space-time, that allows for data to be transmitted at faster than light speeds. I just looked up. James Bacon says, you must keep accurate time records. Yes, I'm surprised Sable didn't chime in with that. We got to get this star date thing right, because you must be keeping accurate records. Michael Akudo was the only person keeping star dates consistent in the writing room throughout the 1990s. That may have been, because otherwise they probably would not have cared. That's probably not something that would have been consistent or kept that way at all. Maybe it was the Starfleet Technical Manual of the Enterprise D that included the information. I was thinking about that. There we go. Sable says, you cannot have a meaningful campaign if accurate time records are not kept. Subspace communication utilizes these subspace frequencies, and like its equivalent, radio transmissions in normal spacetime, allows vast quantities of data to spread across the galaxy at incredible speeds. This does not mean instantaneous, as even subspace communication has an upper speed limit similar to light speed in normal spacetime. So in the 22nd century, power and technological limitations meant real-time communications, even over as little distance as Earth to Vulcan, were difficult without subspace boosters. In the 23rd century, it would be difficult to get immediate contact with Starfleet Command on Earth when at the edges of Federation space, but by the 24th century, a real-time communication was Federation-wide were possible due to extensive networks of subspace communication relays and boosters. Language and the universal translator. Hologram technology, propulsion. Warp drive. Era-specific terminology translator. Okay, let's see what this is. Many elements of Star Trek effectively work the same in different eras but have different names. Here's a list of concepts that use different labels over time. Communicator, Enterprise, Star Trek, Communicator, the Next Generation comm badge. Well, yeah, but a communicator, the comm badge is different. Oh, strict time records. Grappler, tractor beam, hand scanner becomes tricorder, landing or boarding party, and the Next Generation is an away team. Particle rifle, phaser rifle, phase cannon becomes phaser bank or phaser array, phase pistol, hand phaser, photonic torpedoes, photon torpedoes, polarized hull plating becomes screens or shields. Proton sequencer becomes food synthesizer that becomes a replicator. The recreation deck, rec deck, becomes a holodeck. Okay. Sensors, shuttlecrafts, tractor beams, shields, time travel. Weapons, handheld weapons. We haven't seen any stats or how to play yet. We haven't seen any kind of mechanics yet, other than a brief reference in the very beginning. None of this has all been about Star Trek and getting into the Star Trek world. No mechanics yet. Transporter and Replicator era notes. Enterprise era. Transporters are new in the 22nd century, and most people don't put much trust in them for beaming live beings. A relatively primitive progenitor of replicators called protein resequencers can prepare a limited menu of common food choices to supplement the galley. The original series era, transporters are commonly used in the 23rd century, though some traditionalists still don't trust them. Life forms in transit are immobilized until they fully materialize. Intership beaming is difficult and generally avoided. Replicators have not been developed yet, though food synthesizers replace the older protein resequencers in supplementing shipboard meal production, often in the form of multicolored food cubes. The Next Generation era, transporters are ubiquitous in the 24th century, and replicators are new. The transport process is faster than the past, taking only a few seconds to dematerialize and rematerialize. Transportees can move and talk during transport. Intership beaming is common and unremarkable. Beaming patients directly to sickbay is a frequent benefit. The 32nd century, as depicted in the third and fourth seasons of Star Trek Discovery, transporter technology in the 3100s advanced to the point where portable transporters were miniaturized and built directly into comm badges, removing the need for transportees to go to a dedicated transporter room before beaming. Yeah, I know. I also love hearing him talk on some of the DVD extras, the commentary on the Star Trek, movies. I always like it when he's on there. Like, yes, talk about someone who really cares. BGD says, as solo RPGs go, Star Trek's Captain Log is definitely more of a journaling style of game where dice rolls are significant but few and far between, except for when you're in combat. Narrative resolution is key. Hey, that's exactly what Wild Barley and I were talking about. Well, not necessarily the pattern buffer, but technology space. I haven't seen any of the last seasons of Discovery, so I don't know what. I figured that's where this came from. But they were talking about exactly that. Creating new, advancing Star Trek technology again to the point where technology is magical. That was exactly the conversation that we had. Wild Barley says they fold the buffer into the transport signal within Subspace. You're basically a self-unpacking data packet. The pattern buffer. We don't talk about that with off-worlders. Like, where do you, oh my God, where do you shove your pattern buffer? I like that. That would be, yeah. I can like zip myself. I can zip myself, send myself through Subspace, and then unzip myself. Oh, Stray is gifted a membership. Thank you, Stray. So Stray's gifted a membership. Oh, PH got it. PH Arbex just got a membership. Thank you, Stray. Thank you so much for gifting the membership. The fine art of technobabble. Often when Star Trek script writers need to include dialogue that sounds scientific and technological, they simply type tech into the script and let designated technical consultants fill out the appropriate Star Trek sounding wording. As a player, you can operate in a similar manner. Don't worry about the differences between baryon particles and tachyon particles unless you want to. Just think about the gist of what you want to communicate and then assume your character and NPCs use the proper wording. For example, well, where's the fun in that? For example, if you're wondering if it's possible to detect the recent use of time travel device in the area, you don't have to say you're scanning for chronotons. You can just say you're scanning for evidence of time travel. If your character is hiding aboard an enemy ship and trying to figure out how to sabotage its warp drive, you don't have to know the difference between an intermix chamber and a plasma manifold. Just note that you're looking for some way to force the ship to stop. However, if you do feel like slinging technobabble like the characters on screen, go for it. One way to do this is to find a list of words related to the topic at hand. The following are some examples from technological domains commonly encountered in the Star Trek stories. Computers include technobabble words include algorithm, compression, cybernetic, encryption, interface, matrix, model, network, neural, positronic, processor, subroutine. Engineering includes things like accelerator, actuator, array, assembly, buffer, capacitor, coils, compensator, compressor, converter, generator, grid, module. Medicine includes disorder, dysfunction, inducer, membrane, molecular, organic, receptor, resequencing, solution, syndrome. Physics says dark matter, field, frequency, graviton, inertial, nano, neutrino, phase, polarity, quantum, tachyon, tetron, and wave. Time includes causal, chrono, dilation, interphasic, singularity, space-time, temporal, and other things to throw in there include anomaly, continuum, flux, and subspace. There's got to be like a Star Trek technobabble generator someplace online. Wait a minute. That's a Star Trek technobabble generator. It surprises me there's not a table to roll on here. Yes. Don't forget to decrease power to the damaged gluon driver. Oh, generate more. Oh, so yeah, here they are. I need to realign the rear quantum replacer. We should rebuild the neon ray impulsor. We should synchronize the rear casium turbine. We should increase power to the nitrogen phaser bio containers. Yes, exactly. I'm surprised that maybe it's someplace else. Some kind of technobabble generator like that. Sable Phoenix says it's like that one Voyager episode where they broke the warp barrier despite it being established multiple times that that would take infinite energy. When people say that Star Trek is hard science fiction, I just do a Picard double facepalm. And maybe they weren't keeping accurate time records. That's exactly it. Lynn says, the solution to any problem is to modulate the phase of something. No, BGD says they did that. I believe last Unicorn Games, former publishers of the Star Trek TNG RPG around Y2K, published a technobabble table in their core rulebook. Honestly, the best player roles, in my opinion, are chief engineer or science officer. Both seem to peak fun for a Star Trek nerd. Yeah. Service protocols. Standard operating procedures. Docked external support mode. Standard operations. Yellow alert cautions. Oh, so what is okay? So let's see. Yellow alert. A yellow alert is called on a starship when the situation seems as though danger to the ship and her crew is a distinct possibility. On Starfleet vessels, this means the shields are raised, all shuttlecraft are ready for use, and recreational activities such as holodeck programs are canceled. While Starfleet does not usually fully arm weapon systems at yellow alert, Klingon vessels do, but refrain from targeting nearby vessels or surface targets. The entire crew, apart from those in their sleep period, is brought to a ready status, and crew members with multiple areas of expertise are directed to where they are most needed. Similar precautions are taken for away teams that are moving into a particularly dangerous environment or situation. Just like standard away teams, these response teams are led by a command officer who is experienced in combat situations, a medical officer trained in emergency medicine, and at least 2 security personnel, 1 officer and 1 enlisted. An operations or science division member may be present depending on circumstances. All members of the response team are armed with hand weapons and standard tricorders, and medical officers carry a medical tricorder and a medikit. The response team is a standard form of away team when the environment is dangerous due to its climate or atmosphere, and environmental suits are issued to the team before beaming down, along with portable light sources if dark conditions are likely. While on the surface, a shuttlecraft is kept in a ready launch status, the ship sensors are kept focused on the away team in case any problems arise. Red alert is when a ship is in danger, about to enter emergency, or is in a combat situation. A red alert is declared. The entire crew is brought to action, including those who were asleep. To provide for this contingency, many positions aboard the starship have 2 personnel assigned, one who may take over the position if the other is injured or unable to perform their duties. Long and short-range sensor sweeps are performed around the ship by the ship's tactical and science officers. On Starfleet vessels, weapon systems are brought fully online, where Klingon vessels will lock targets and begin combat operations immediately. On larger or more tactically advanced vessels, some command and operations officers report to their duty stations on the battle bridge or an auxiliary control center where bridge functions are duplicated. The officers there can take control of the ship's operation if the bridge station or officers are unable to perform their duties. Given enough time, all crew arm themselves with hand weapons, and security personnel prepare for possible boarding actions when in proximity to a hostile vessel. Away teams beaming into a hostile or dangerous situation are sometimes called boarding parties or tactical response teams. The only science division member typically on these teams is a medical officer capable of performing emergency medicine, equipped with a sidearm, usually set to stun to preserve their Hippocratic oath, medical tricorder, emergency surgical gear, and a variety of hyperspray ampules reserved for triage situations. The command officer of the party is always one of with some tactical training and armed with a sidearm. The remainder of the party consists of security officers armed with hand phasers and possibly phaser rifles. If possible, transporter locks are maintained on every member of the team, and a shuttlecraft with extra security personnel is made ready in case transport to or from the area becomes impossible. If the party has arrived on the scene with a shuttlecraft, the vehicle will be equipped with transport enhancers for the team to carry out if they need to use them for an emergency beam out. Emergency evacuation, medical emergency. Orbit type, standard orbit, synchronous orbit, polar orbit, inclined order, the Lagrange points. Starfleet's naval traditions. I mean, this is a pretty cool book. It's completely different from what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a choose your own adventure thing for actually playing a solo adventure. Of course, I was also confused because I thought they were different ones set in different eras. You're a blue shirt, Stray? Oh, really? I think I mentioned it already, but I was talking to a NASA engineer about Babylon 5, and he informed us that most of the technical designs were based on NASA information. So BGD says, the characters generated for solo play in Captain's Log are, with little modification, able to be transported to Modiphius's main Star Trek Adventures RPG, and so you can play with your friends. Wild Barley says, Star Furies in Babylon 5 are probably the most realistic starfighters in sci-fi in terms of design. Lynn loves them too. So Modiphius publishes division-specific source books for Star Trek Adventures, Command, Science, and Operations, which go into detail of the specific roles of the kind of characters you can use in solo play. Wow, that's interesting. Wild Barley says, imagine what a shuttle emergency evac would look like. Watching a shuttle plow through the atmosphere at like 1/4 impulse, a glowing blue orb of plasma around the shields. We need more of that. The Prime Directive, Eras of Play, the Foundational Years, Coalition and Federation, Federation and Empire, the 5-year missions. Allies and Adversaries, Post-War and Reconstruction, the Temporal Cold War, the 32nd Century. Styles of Play, Admiralty Campaigns. Admiralty campaigns put you in a high-ranking leadership position within either Starfleet or the Klingon Defense Force, allowing you to make big decisions that could affect billions of lives on multiple worlds. Cinematic style campaigns. Campaigns based on season-long story arcs. Close to home, political campaigns and core worlds. Deep space exploration games. Far from home games. Spice of life games. Station-based games. Unsanctioned missions. Reporting for duty. Okay, so this might actually start creating a character. Okay. Well, okay, this looks like this will be a multi-day series here because we've been going for an hour here, but we're just now getting to creating a character and stuff like that. So this has a bookmark in it, I noticed. Yep, right there. Well, So, like I said, this is completely different from what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was actually going to be sitting here playing a solo game, but not quite. But still interesting. So I want to know how to create a character and what to do. So we'll continue with this later. Lynn says, I would like to play a Harry Mudd type character, only less unhinged. All right. Well, I apologize for being late this morning, but if you haven't and you're interested in stories and then a Shadowrun and what was up with EverQuest Next and things like that, I definitely recommend going and checking the Maxwell Alexander Drake conversation that I had last night on the Table Talk channel. If you haven't seen that already, that was a fantastic conversation. He's a really neat individual. All right, there's lots to go and do. There's lots to do. So I'm going to try to be productive this whole weekend, starting now, which does include some cleaning up around here. So everybody have a wonderful day. Go forth, be creative, be constructive, and grind on. Later, everybody.